Welcome to the Kingsview Model Railway. In today's video, we're going to show you the top 5 tricks to keep your model railway running as smooth as it can run. Regardless of how good you keep your model railway room as clean as you can, one thing you're always going to have to do is dusting. Now, on the Kingsview Model Railway, I dust about once a month. Now, I use a variety of tools. I use a small sable paintbrush, 50mm, and I've used this one for years. And I also got my wife to get me one of these fluffy things that she saw on the internet. She said this would be really good, and I've tried it out, and it's actually really quite good, because what this does, you can clean around all the delicate areas of the layout without knocking over important bits of scenery. So I'll show you just how we do it. So just a simple brush over like this, just a quick rattle over like this, will usually get rid of the dust. You can see here, I've got a bit of stuff here floating around, and this is the precursor to what our next step be. But I also include rolling stock as well. So pardon me, giving rolling stock a bit of a dust over means that that's less dust that actually then appears on your track work later on. But certainly give all the areas a nice dust prior to what our next step will be. So just a quick light dust. And for some of the harder areas, just a paintbrush will lift that stubborn dust away from the areas that you're looking at cleaning. So part 2 of this 5-part process to get your railway in tip-top running shape is vacuuming. Now, you can vacuum around things, or you can do all sorts of methods to vacuum, but the first thing I always do is I try to move the rolling stock out of the way. Now, I am using the hand of God to do this, so I just push these back out of the way over here, and same for this track here. We just pick up the models here using the hand of God process, which is very similar to shunting, but not quite as good. This gives us an area that we can look at for vacuuming. So my vacuum of choice is the Dyson. Now, I've used this one for years. I've constructed the whole railway using this particular model, and it comes with a number of attachments, and I'll show you why I think that this is probably one of the best vacuum cleaners that you can use for your model railway. So it comes with this channeling attachment here, which intensifies the suck ability of the Dyson, and it means that you can get right between the tracks, just like this. Now, a more broader attachment is one that's got some fibres on the end of it, and I'll just attach that on in the background here, and that looks like this. It's got an adjustable head on here. You can adjust it backwards and forwards, but this one here will let you vacuum a broader area. Now you'll see there that I'm vacuuming all of the scenery as well. Now, all of my scenery is glued down. Now, some people might choose not to glue their scenery down, so obviously you've got to be pretty careful with a vacuum cleaner. Otherwise, you'll find that most of your scenery ends up out in the dustbin. But for the best running on any layout, gluing the scenery down and making sure that none of it comes away is pretty important, because when a locomotive goes past the scenery, it's got a spinning motor, and it does create static electricity, and that static electricity can suck up particles up into the motor of the locomotive, and also even the effect of the spinning wheels does create small amounts of electrical charge, and that electrical charge means that you will get dirt on your wheels, and it will also mean that you get dirt up in your locomotive. So regular vacuuming is really important. Now, I live in a rural area and you just can't avoid the dust, and more importantly, I get all sorts of critters crawling all over my layout now. You know, I get anything from geckos to small mouses to all sorts of things that have been crossing my railway. Now, I haven't been up here for a week in the layout room, and I can already see some evidence of gecko droppings on my layout, which, you know, I hate to see, but, you know, there's not much I can do about it. I've tried all sorts of sprays. I've tried peppermint spray. I've tried all sorts of things. But again, the Dyson is your friend, because it comes with this great long tube, and you can vacuum into those areas that you can't quite reach like this. So vacuuming the track again is pretty important, because again, as I said before, it just keeps all of that material from being sucked up into your locomotives. And you would be surprised at the end of your vacuuming session just how much grunge you've got in the bottom of the vacuum cleaner. I'm always amazed at how much rubbish I vacuum off the layout. In our third part in this series, the next area that is often neglected on a layout is point maintenance. Now, you know, there's all sorts of ways to maintain points, and I suppose it comes under the track cleaning area, but I treat it as a separate issue. On this layout, I've got about 60 points, and I try to keep them all in tip-top condition. Now, there's a couple of ways I do this, and I use a couple of WD products to do this, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do. So, to start off, we just have a look at this particular point. This one actually has a ground throw on it, as you can see, and it just switches the blades backwards and forwards. But to keep that in tip-top condition, I use WD-40 Specialist Contact Cleaner, and it's fast drying. So I just give it a little blast, like this, like that, and just run it backwards and forwards like that. And I find that that keeps that point blade and the area of the blade in really good condition. And then I usually just use, again, WD-40 Specialist Air Duster. Now, I use this mainly for cleaning locomotives, but this particular product is very good also for this job. Just a little blast like that, and that just dries the area and gets it back into tip-top condition. Just operate it a couple of times, and that gets your points back in tip-top condition. Now, obviously, part of this process is that you've obviously got to clean the tops of the blades, and we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that shortly. But certainly, keeping your points in tip-top condition means that you won't get those locos stalling on your points. Point number 4 is track cleaning. Now, I've never set out to claim that I'm an expert on track cleaning. Everybody's got their own idea of it, and if you go on the internet, you'll find at least 500 videos on how everybody cleans their track. So the method that I find that works best for me is to use some commercial products, and the first one that I use is a DCC Concepts rubber, and that looks like this. Now, they come in a packaging. DCC Concepts sell these here. You can see there. If I put it back a little bit so you can see it. But these particular rubbers, they're not that expensive. I like them because they're a good size, easy to hold in your hand, and they're also not quite as aggressive as the Pico track rubber. Not that I have any concerns about the Pico track rubber whatsoever. You can see here plenty of dirt and grunge being grabbed off the tracks over time. I just don't have any concerns about it. But this rubber is just easy to use. And when you're doing main lines, you can span across 2 main lines, which means that you've only got half the amount of cleaning to do, and there's nothing wrong with half the cleaning. So I don't go crazy with this thing. All I do is usually 1 pass like that. That is usually all that I do, and that's usually all that I need. It's just a light rub, and I usually find that that brings the track back up to lovely clean condition as well. Once your tracks are clean, and you want to try and maintain them and keep them in as clean a position as possible, I also use this product here called Deoxit IT Gold G5. Now, this was put onto me by another railway friend of mine. This product conditions surfaces and electronic connections, but I have found it to be the very best thing ever for conditioning the surface without leaving any residue on it. So what I did was I made up a small block with a felt pad that from some of the felt that's used from some of the other track cleaners, and I just give it a simple squirt like this. Just put a little bit on like that, and then I just run over the tracks like this. And again, I made it wide enough to do a main line with dual line running, and I just run over it like that, and then I just leave it for about an hour or so, and then it dries. Now, I haven't done this particular part of the yard for more than 12 months, and I can feel when I rub on it that it's still feeling nicely coated. So with this, you don't get any wheel slippage, you don't get any residue, but because the product is designed to clean gold connections inside guitars and all sorts of electronic material, it's designed to leave absolutely no residue whatsoever. So it's used for data in computers, but it's a product called Deoxit IT Gold G5. It's not cheap. I think this was about $50 or $60 for a can. So but I mean, I've still got 3/4 of a can, and I've had it for 3 years. So that's the way I clean my track. No need to scrub. A lot of people are concerned on the internet about Pico rubbers, scratching all the track and wearing it all away. Now, I'm a member of a local club. Some of the track is 20 years old. They've been using these rubbers, and there's no discernible wear at all. So anybody who tells you that these things wear out the track, it's just nonsense. So these are good, but I certainly do like the DCC Concepts rubber. I find that it's really good. Now, it's not always possible to reach every part of your track. So what I've done is I've actually using a rubber that I've glued onto a piece of timber, and for the areas that I can't reach, which is along my platform here, this is how I do it. I can clean my track, bring it right back up to nice and clean again, just by a simple rub over with my stick with my track cleaner. This particular one is a Marklin one, and the reason I got the Marklin one was because it was the same size as the piece of wood I had. But the Marklin one again is really, really quite good, and you can see the amount of dirt that it pulls off the track. It's very, very good. So for those areas that you can't reach, that doesn't mean that you can't clean your track. So it does make it certainly a lot easier to clean your track with one of these. I strongly recommend, if you can't reach your track, get a piece of timber and glue a track cleaner on it and start cleaning away. The last step in keeping your model railway in absolutely tip-top condition is probably the hardest job on a layout where you've actually got a lot of rolling stock, and that's keeping the wheels clean. Now, once you've got your layout really, really clean, this job actually becomes a lot easier. Now, I've just picked up this guards van at random, and I'm going to have a look at the wheels, and they're pretty good. So they're pretty clean, but I want to share with you exactly what my maintenance process is. And Might sound a bit anal, but I keep all of this on a spreadsheet so that I know last time I did it. Now, I looked at this particular wagon and I cleaned it about 12 months ago, and I'm looking at the wheels and it gets used a fair bit and it's looking pretty clean. Now, I'll bring it up a little bit closer, but this particular one also has rear marker lights, so it actually gets the power from these two little wipers that are actually on, that run on the bogie axles. So obviously you need to clean that area as well as the wheels. Now, there's all sorts of methods that you can clean. Always use a cradle. I always find a cradle is good because it stops you from damaging the item, and it also means that that you can access it pretty easy. Now, some people might think that this is a bit of a radical way of doing things, but I actually use a Dremel. Now, this is my big Dremel because my little micro one has just failed. So what I do is I put a wire wheel, and you can buy these again, these wire wheels on the internet for, you know, to suit a Dremel for not very much money. But I find that this is a very effective way of cleaning wheels. So I just turn it on very slow. Doesn't need to be on very fast. And then I just simply give the wheels a light touch. And they will spin around a little bit. And that is all that you need to do. And just give the axle a little bit of a breeze over as well. And that's all you have to do. Now, I always find too that when you're cleaning, get my arm out of the way. When you're cleaning, it's always wise to use some lubricant. I've got a little lubricant bottle here. A little bit of lubricant on the axle boxes as well. Will also reduce the rolling resistance as well for your wagons. Another clear point to make here is metal wheels. The thing that really is bad for model railways is plastic wheels. Now, some rolling stock comes with it. Now, I model New South Wales model railways. You know, the vast majority of what you buy today actually has metal wheels. But, you know, some stuff that you might buy on eBay or second hand or whatever might have plastic wheels. So I've got a little container here full of metal wheels. So if I pick up a piece of rolling stock that I find that has got plastic wheels, I just swap them straight out. Now, you can get a number of diameters. Someone even told me the other day that you can buy these wheels, 36 and 40-inch diameter ones, on Temu. Now, I haven't done that, but that would be interesting to see. But you know, metal wheels are not cheap, and they add a cost to your rolling stock. But once these are clean, your track is clean, you're going to have a long time between needing to clean your track. So cleaning your wheels is pretty important. I clean locomotives exactly the same way. I just get the Dremel here and give it a very, very light run over. Like that. Now, obviously that only cleans 1/3 of the wheels, so it's important to have this loco programmed into your layout, take it over to the track and just spin it again, and do that 3 or 4 times until you've got the whole surface shiny. Again, a little bit of lubricant to lubricate the wheels as well. And I have one final touch for a new little device that I bought this off the eBay. Seen these advertised on Facebook or whatever, and I thought, you know, they're anywhere from $40 to $150 odd. So I thought, well, I'll buy the cheap one and just see how it goes. And they've got a light in them so that you can see what you're blowing. And when you turn on the fan, like this, well, got to turn the light off first. You can just blow those small particles out of your bogies and anywhere around, you know, the base frame as well. It's a very good little blower. I use it on the layout a lot. It just charges up. It's just got a little USB port on the back, and find it very handy. And it's very, very high volume air too. Like, it would be almost as good as a leaf blower. I mean, you could use it as a leaf blower, but you know, you'll see these on Facebook and, you know, eBay and Temu and all these sort of places, and they're really quite a good little tool, but I do use it for giving the track a blast and also giving the rolling stock a blast. Well, I hope you've enjoyed these 5 tips to help make your model railway run a little bit better. They're not hard and fast tips, they're just tips that I've put together to help people who mightn't have a good idea exactly on what sort of maintenance you need to do to keep your model railway road running as good as you can. But how about a bonus? The NMRA, National Model Railroad Association, make a gauge, and this particular gauge, I'll put it up a little bit closer there, you can see there. If you purchase one of these, this is a standards gauge. These are used to be able to test to make sure that your track is engaged and that your wheels are engaged on your rolling stock. And if you use one of these, and you also get yourself one of these, which is a back-to-back tester. These little brass units, I purchased this one from DCC Concepts, can be used to check the back-to-back, what's called the back-to-back of the wheels. So for instance, if you've got a wagon like this, bring it a bit closer, you can just slot it in between the wheels and check to make sure that it fits between the wheel sets. Now, if it doesn't fit, it means that your wheels are a little bit too narrow. And if they're a little bit too narrow, they won't run through your points properly, and they may jump off on curves as well. So get yourself one of these, get yourself one of these gauges, and check all of your rolling stock, check all the wheels that you have, and you will find that some of them are not engaged. And if you've had troubles with wagons coming off your layout or trains derailing, more than likely it's because your wheels are not engaged. So till next time, I hope you've enjoyed all of these tips, and we'll see you, and happy modelling.